Naturalization, according to Webster's dictionary, is the legal act or process by which a non-citizen in a country may acquire citizenship or nationality of that country. As a sociologist, I have always been intrigued by the apparent contradiction between the nomenclature and the process. Becoming a citizen is anything but natural. Becoming a citizen can be seen as a transaction, filling out a form, paying fees, attending an interview, passing some tests, taking an oath. Or it can be considered a transformation, a change in status, a realization, a fulfillment, a growth. Each newcomer, each immigrant, refugee, migrant is the seed of a citizen to be. They come to these shores from their native soil for many reasons. In short, they seek to establish new roots that lead to a better life. Today's newcomer varietals from the Middle East, Central America, and Africa follow in the footsteps of generations of other nationalities from places throughout Europe and Asia, not to mention our neighbors to the south, who have been part of this region's migratory patterns for centuries. What attracts them all is both the fertile soil and the sunshine of the American experiment, the American experience, namely, e pluribus unum, out of many, one. The values and traditions of the U.S., among them democracy, equality, freedom, justice, are the nutrients that enrich the newcomers as they grow in greater civic, cultural, and communal integration and unity. Now, before I'm accused of being too Pollyanna and overly optimistic, let me acknowledge that this nation's history, as well as its present, is fraught with examples of anti-immigrant periods and practices. From slavery and the Know-Nothing Party in the 1850s, to the Chinese Exclusionary Act and the Japanese internment, to today's political pronouncements of bigger walls, exclusionary practices, and surveillance, America has its share of rocky soil and barren deserts, which are inhospitable, if not hostile, to the acceptance and ability of newcomers to sprout and grow. In general, in order to become a citizen, you have to be at least 18 years of age. You have to be a legal permanent resident. You have to have continuous permanent residence for 5 years, unless you're married to a U.S. citizen when it's 3 years. You have to have good moral character. You have to be connected to the Constitution. And you have to demonstrate English and civic competency. The current application seeks to capture the information and the evidence that documents and verifies a person's eligibility for citizenship. When I first started working with Catholic Charities in 1984, the N400 was only a few pages, and it was affordable by all. Today, it's 21 pages, at least 160 questions, and it costs $680. This bureaucratic and legalistic tool can itself become a barrier to becoming a citizen. Consider it the weeds that can deter, if not choke, one's desire to pursue citizenship. It takes, on average, at Catholic Charities, experienced, accredited staff, about 2 hours to complete one application. And that's if they don't have 4 wives and 22 children. or 870 trips abroad. Because in order to document your continuous presence, you have to put down your addresses, you have to put down your history of employment, you have to record all of your marriages, you have to list all your children and all your children's ages and all your spouse's information, and it goes on and on and on. It is the hardest thing to accomplish because it requires you to gather that information. The cardinal sin in any immigration process is to lie, to commit fraud, to knowingly falsify information. So the importance of an application such as citizenship is to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, but do not provide more information than they ask. So this application is used at the interview by the officer to say, is everything on here true? C. Yes. In addition to studying the 100 civics questions, every applicant needs to understand the questions they said yes or no to. Because if they're asked and they don't know what the question meant, it calls into question how knowingly did they answer the question. Did somebody else answer the question for them? All these things are presented to demonstrate the complexity and consequence of filling out this application. It is important that those who are unable to complete it seek competent and reputable assistance. This is especially true to the most vulnerable of the seedlings, the elderly, the isolated, the poor, those with legal issues. There's no shortage of predatory preparers, notarios, who will suck the sustenance out of an applicant and leave them high and dry at best, and deported and uprooted at worst. Catholic Charities, along with our colleagues like at Alliance San Diego and San Diego Organizing Project, work hard to be a viable asset to potential applicants so they can successfully transform from LPR to citizen. Unfortunately, as Matthew 9:37, Father, powerfully states, the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. For that reason, agencies such as ours and our colleagues invite volunteers like you and those who are not able to be here tonight to join us in the vineyard. There are several roles or tasks that volunteers can play that can help bring to fruition the maximum number of new citizens.